Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 4, Activation of Awareness, Well-Being, Intimacy, and Self-Mastery. I'm your host, Washela Sananda, and today we have the beautiful Amber Kuileimailani Bonnici. Welcome, Amber.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha. So before we dive in, and I'm so excited, this is going to be so much fun, but before we really dive into the content, let's all join in a short guided meditation to get connected and get present and set our intention for this session today. So I invite everyone, just go ahead and close your eyes and tune into your breath, getting present in your body, and tune in to your heart center and the light in your heart. And feel your heart light glowing and growing and expanding out around your chest. And now send that light from your heart up through your crown center and all the way up into central sun, making contact with the heart of central sun, feeling this warming divine light energy. And then bring the heart light of central sun down into your crown, down your spine, lighting up your heart, all the way down to the base of the spine. And then continuing down all the way into the center of the earth, the heart of our Mother Gaia, feeling that nurturing heart energy of Divine Mother. And then bring that heart light, the center of the earth, up through the layers of the earth as liquid crystal plasma up into the base of the spine, all the way up the spine, and then landing in your heart center, joining with the light from above and the light within, creating alignment and balance and an intention to receive whatever is for your highest good to receive in this session today. And with that, I invite you to come back refreshed, focused, and ready to receive. And go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you for doing that with me. And now it's my pleasure to share a little bit about what Amber is up to in the world. Amber Kuileimailani Bonnici is founder of Woman Unleashed, a community dedicated to helping women connect to spirit, creativity, and their soul work to feel on purpose, happy, and free. She supports women through retreats and inner circle membership. Amber hosts the Woman Unleashed online retreat, which has drawn over 85,000 women since it first began. When she's not teaching or coaching, you'll find her on the Big Island of Hawaii, painting, writing, or hanging out with her husband and boys. And I just love what you're up to in the world, Amber. And so I'd love to start with a little bit of your origin story and how did you get to this place of having this massive retreat and bringing creativity to so many people and helping women unleash their souls?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love you, Shayla. So I'm really excited to be together. Thank you for inviting me. And I think what I want to say about origin story is it's like there's a lot of chapters to this story. And I think that sometimes when we hear origin stories, we just hear where people are at. And there's like so much. There's so much before I got to where I am right now. And I really remember the early stages and the early places. So I just want to presence that piece, that it's not just all pretty, right? There's been like plenty of things that were dark nights of the soul that were really painful. And I think one of the origin stories, I'll say the one piece is, I was in corporate, I was in retail marketing and got pregnant, decided to because of a miscarriage, like I really decided I was going to be the best mom in the world. And so I decided to stay home. I decided that was going to be the way to be the best mom and do all the things. And after my second baby, I really entered into this place of depression, right? Of like feeling I was pouring all of myself into my kids and I had like lost me. I lost my connection with spirit. I lost like any sense of joy. It was like all I could see in front of me was like day in and day out of like diapers and feedings um and my husband was gone at that time too. Like he was traveling a lot. So it was I felt very well, I just felt super lonely. And I remember praying and asking spirit for something because I just knew that like where I was heading was not a good place. And in the very next day, there popped an email in my inbox mentioning a painting and writing mentorship program. And it was online. And it was like, this was when online was a new thing. I was like, oh, this could, I remember being a kid and enjoying writing and enjoying, feeling free when I was doing that. I thought maybe this could help me. And I remember, taking all my Christmas money and birthday money and, all of that, because I felt a real sense of like, I don't want to take money away from my kids or my family. And I put it down, and like, that was the beginning of my exploration of my creativity and finding myself again. And once I started creating, it was like the floodgates just flew open. It was like there was so much to come in, like, but I had to fill myself up. So it was like every morning, when the kids were napping, that was my sacred nap time. I'd paint, I'd go out for walks in the morning just to, watch the sunrise, just to have some space. And then when there was space, that's when things started flowing in. And at some point I got filled up enough. I felt like I wanted to share it with other people. And that was first a few women around my dining room table. And that grew to larger workshops, and then going online and building online community. And now after how many, so it's been like 8 years, right? So I want to say it's been a long time that we've built and grown this beautiful community, a creative, spiritual, yummy, delicious community. So.
Beautiful. I love that you shared, it wasn't all just like happy and joyful. And a lot of times the things that get us to do something big in the world are those dark nights of the soul. And I had postpartum depression with my first, and I was in Hawaii at the time, and I was removed from, my extended family, and I didn't have a lot of close friends because I was newer there. And that was a really challenging time. So I can really empathize with what that experience must have been like for you.
Yeah. And I just want to speak into like, as when you talk about the origin, like, it's like there are these cycles where I feel like spirit gives us invitations to grow, again and again. And, for me, I'm thinking of, if I'm growing to serve, right, there are things I get to learn to do that. And, one of my most recent growing places was that really opened up, I'd say, more of my spiritual gifts, was when my grandma passed. My grandma passed a couple years ago, and I turned the same age I was when my mother died. So it was like all within this like short window of time. I just felt like a lot of death and change and rebirth, and like, why am I here? What am I doing? Like, am I even making a difference? Like all of those questions. And then from that place, that's where I tapped in, to spirit at the next level. And I was like, I remember sitting at my grandma's, bedside, and I remember her looking at me in the eyes. And I remember thinking at the time, this is like not a normal grandma looking at me thing, right? And I really felt her transmit something to me at that time. And after that, I started writing light language and light code. So it's like from the most painful, like, because that was such a painful time. But it's like from this point, I feel like, oh, there's this piece of her, or this piece that she gifted to me that I get to share on, So yeah,
Wow.
not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, that is beautiful that you received that transmission from your grandmother, and then you started doing the light language. Do you speak it as well?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to bless us with some of that at any point, but I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it's been a journey, right? So this is like, you know, when it first dropped in, I was kind of like, for many of us who have opened to spiritual gifts, or maybe you're in the process, it can be a little scary at first. It's like, what is this? This is weird, right? I remember like writing language, like you can see some of my painting behind me and being like, I don't even know what this is, right? And then writing it and then hearing like what it was, I was like, oh, okay. But then same thing, am I going crazy? Like, am I hearing voices like in my head? What is this, right? And then later when I started speaking, same thing. You know, it's like, what am I saying? So there's this sometimes questioning that can happen, especially on spiritual gifts, things that don't make sense, traditional sense, that it's like this place of like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I know what this is. So like there's the invitation to surrender into it. Mhm.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I can say, I channel, and it's like it's a dance with these energies that come through. I don't do light language. That's not the channel that comes through me, at least at this point. I'm open to it, but that's not what I've experienced. It's more galactic guides. And then just yesterday I had this experience of Divine Mother just presenced, and I was overwhelmed, and I was getting ready to do an interview, and the person that was the speaker didn't show, and so here I am sitting in front of the camera waiting for a speaker who didn't show, and Divine Mother came, and then I just got the message, just record, just record. And I had no idea what was going to come, but it was that surrender. I'm like, okay, clearly this is what we're doing, so okay. And it was really this beautiful transmission that came through. So I feel like it's very similar, and there's that part of self that must take a back seat, or ego, or whatever it is, in order to trust enough to let whatever wants to be birthed or to be spoken to emerge.
Yeah, there's always this, at least I find for myself, there's a filter that I get to remove, the filter that is my mind, right? That's trying to make sense of things all the time. Like that filter needs to go, or it not go, but maybe it's more like the volume needs to get turned down. Like the way that I experience it is like it pops and I'm like, oh, there you are. But I'm listening for the other volume or the other message, right? That's coming in. Because it's kind of like that one just for me kind of just rumbles along all the time. So it's just, who do you think you are? Oh, you must be crazy, like, oh, okay, yeah, yes, okay, thank you. Yes, we're here. That conversation's running.
For
But it's the
sharing.
same thing with but it's the same thing with art too, right? Or
Mhm.
creativity or anything that we're doing that's new or different or that we're uncomfortable with, there's going to be that voice pop in. And so it's how do we get to turn that volume down to really listen to that divine, the divine coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it's just going with what's coming through. Just going with it. Just keep sharing, keep doing the art, keep drawing, keep writing, just keep going, and then eventually there's that breakthrough that happens. So, we just got to be together in Sundance, Utah, and it was such a beautiful place. It was for a group mastermind that we're both in, and it was my birthday, and we were hiking. We were doing a hike up to a waterfall, gorgeous waterfall that morning. And I just want to share with everyone, you gave me the most beautiful birthday blessing by singing in Hawaiian. And while I didn't know what the words meant, I could feel this beautiful transmission and energy. And it was really, really just expansive and such a blessing. Like, I can't imagine a better way to start my birthday. And it was my 50th birthday. So it was like it's like the second half, or the second half of my century or whatever. I don't know that I get that long, but it was just so beautiful and opening. And then we got to hike together for a while. And I feel like, I just felt that we have this connection to a similar place in the stars and on the earth, and how we're both bringing that through in our own ways. And I love that you're doing it with creativity, because that opens, it just really does open people. And so I would love for you to share about, you have this creative cycle, 4 steps to the creative cycle. Would you share that with, what are the 4 steps?
Yeah. Yeah. So creativity, anytime you create anything, whether you're creating, I don't know, a painting or a poem or a dance, or even your body, if you're working out, you're creating that, or relationships. There are these steps to create. And for most of us, part of the steps are very natural or very easy for us, and other steps we get kind of stuck in. And so if we know, oh, these are the places I get stuck, then what you can do is you can, once you know what those places are, you're able to kind of like grease the wheels, or like, get things going, so it's able to like smooth, go move more smoothly through those areas. And so there are 4 steps on the creative cycle. And the first one is that of vision and energy, right? So think of this as like the dark void. This is the place of quiet. This is the place of listening. This is the place of, where the vision drops in. This is not the place of doing. This isn't the place of like making it happen. This is the place of real receptivity. And when we talk about energy, in order for us to create anything, there needs to be the energy to do it. And many of us at certain points of our lives, when we wanted to create something, it hasn't happened because our energy hasn't been there. It has either been, we've been tired. Like, when I was a new mama and I wanted to create something, it was like, I had this idea that I wanted to create, but I was exhausted, right? I was not sleeping a lot of hours, and there was not a well of energy in order to put into a creation, right? So it's actually like the physical or that side of the energy. There's also like the mental part of energy, where your mind is filled up thinking of why you can't do something and why things aren't going to work. And it's like every thought is energy. So if you have all those thoughts and it's like that's what you're thinking, there is very little left to actually create with, right? Your energy could also be scattered, right? So I find this with lots of beautiful, passionate, creative women, is we've got 10 million ideas of things that we want to do, and we want to do them all at once. Okay. So I'm all about multi-passionate, about listening to spirit, about moving. And there is an impetus of what we're being called to now, right? And so the invitation at this stage is also to release this need or this feeling like, if I don't do it now, it won't happen again, right? So there's this trust that happens at this place too, where it's like, okay, this is what I'm called to do. So step 1 is the place of vision, where you allow the vision to drop in. And then the energy, where you have the energy for it to like, think of it as like building, like there's a spark and it's like, it starts to build a little bit, the flame. Okay. Then we move into, I do want to say we work with different, I will say this. In Women Unleashed, we also work with different archetypal energies, right? So if you find that this is a place that you struggle, where you just want to have the idea and be going already, or you can't like slow down enough to kind of like tune in and listen. We work with the energy of mother, like inner mother, the one who cares, who nurtures, who says, honey, it's okay. You already know, just take a breath, create some space. Like that energy is what's needed at that stage. Okay. Mama. And I do want to say that it's not your mama, like it's your inner mama. Yeah. Think divine mama. The next place that we move to is the step, which is planning and structure. Okay. Now, if you're like most of my creative people, you're kind of allergic to this word. You're like, I don't like to create. I don't like the structure. I like to be free and be flowing. And there's that, but there needs to be a container for your creations to drop in, right? If I'm painting, I have a canvas. If I am writing, I have my paper and my pens. If I, want to create something, I show up, 30 minutes each morning to write, right? Like there's like a container. There's the place for spirit to drop in. This is also the place where when you're looking at structure and planning, when you're looking at like, okay, what are the places that I would tend to veer off the path? And you plan ahead for those things. Like I know when I'm writing, I do really good for an hour. That's a good chunk for me where I sit down, I can get into my flow. And that's great. Over 90 minutes, things start to get a little bit wonky for me on my timing. I also know that for myself, earlier in the morning is better for me before my kids wake up. Once my kids wake up, I tend to kind of drop into mama role, and I've kind of got part of my brain over there and then part of my brain in my creation. So knowing myself and creating a plan or a structure that works for me is good. And so this is, where you look at structure, you also look at strategy as far as, what makes sense to do first and then next and next. You're looking for a flow. And I like to say divine structure, divine strategy, because you want to have a structure that's tight but loose. Okay. Tight, like not so tight that you're like, so constricted you can't create, but not so loose that you actually never sit down to create. So there's that tight and loose. Now, if this is an area where you are struggling a little bit, we get to work with the energy of what we call the warrior. Now, the warrior is the one who sets boundaries, who says no, who holds your vision, right? She's the one who backs it up, right? That if you say what's important to you is having time to meditate in the mornings, right? Then she is going to be the one that if someone says, oh, hey, can we do a me this time? She'll say, no, but we can do it at this time. Because she's like standing there, fiercely with lots of fierce love to hold what's really most important. Yeah. So are we good so far, Shayla?
Yeah, beautiful. I'm loving this.
Okay.
Loving it.
Okay. So we've moved through those 2 steps. We're now moving into step 3, which we've now moved into that of flow and support. Okay. This is when you become the channel, but like the spirit is moving through you. This is the place where you're in co-creation. It's not about you creating, it's about allowing spirit to flow through. And this is also really the place of support. I believe that we are meant to co-create with divine, but also we co-create with one another. So that might look like, what support can you tap into? We work with several different layers of support. So I look at the support of like, I connect to my ancestors, like my grandmother, right? And if I'm going to create, or if I'm putting something, like sometimes I'll say, okay, Grams, I could use some support and love if there's a place I feel stuck. I also connect to the support of the land where I'm living, and there's support that can come that can help me there. There's the support of guidance, like maybe if you work with Shayla, or if you follow someone, that there's someone who is a few steps ahead of you that can support this flow, this co-creation of flow that happens. And then of course divine, letting whatever is coming through come through. So if you struggle at this place, right, this is a place where maybe you get blocked. You go to sit, you sit down, you've got the plan, you know what you're doing, you sit down and it's like nothing is coming. This is the place where we get to tap into the mystic. And the mystic is the one that connects to spirit, that knows that it's not about her, that this is about something much bigger. And there's this release of control and surrender that starts to happen here. This place of trust that, like, if I sit here, and I just write blah, 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 eventually something's going to come through. Right. So tapping into that energy. Yeah. And then are we ready for the final one?
Sure.
Okay. So we've had the vision. We've created the structure of the plan. We are now allowing the divine downloads to move through us. We're creating. And then this place is focusing and finishing. So this is a place where a lot of beautiful, creative, passionate women they don't want to finish. Like they have the next thing already. It's like they get to the boring part, right? I remember for a long time, I had so many paintings that did not have the edges painted. Like they were done except for the edges around them. Or I also joke, and I tell this story quite a bit. My grandma, I've been telling you about, she is a knitter. She was a knitter. And we were going through her things just recently, going through some of her estate. And I'm the only knitter in the family. So I got all of her yarn and her knitting needles and other things. And we were going through, and she had some half finished projects. And she had a baby sweater that she had made that was like the back was done, the front panels were done. And it was for my Uncle Freddie, who is 75 years old right now. So she still had the sweater that was, half done. But if this would be you, if like you are a creative or you have lots of half finished or incomplete projects, right? So this is the place where we get to focus. We get to stay focused on, there was a reason that this came in. There was a reason that this creative spark idea, inspired you in the first place. And this is the place where we get to have faith and be like, okay, I'm gonna follow through. I'm gonna go ahead and just put the blinders on for a bit just to finish it up. Because when you finish, there's all this energy that is released, right? So if you think of the multitude of projects that you might have that are incomplete, they're each holding an energy, just like your thoughts. And as you wrap them up, or you might say, I'm complete, I'm not going to do this anymore, energy starts to expand. And so then you get this momentum that starts to happen with the cycle. So if you get stuck here, we like to tap into the energy of the queen, right? So that's this queen, she is the queen of her domain. She sees big picture, right? She's not just into the next thing. She's like, okay, what is best, best for everything. And so there's this, she gives you that energy of focus and completion. And then what we do once we complete is we celebrate. We have a party. We have a little mini party. You can have a dance party. You can have a whatever kind of party, buy yourself crystals party, whatever you want to do to celebrate. And then that energy then moves into the next creation that you create. So we are always in any one to many parts of this creative cycle, depending on what we're creating in our lives. And yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, I love how you've kind of harnessed the various stages that we go through. And I'm sure lots of us can relate to that finishing piece. I heard the words wrap it or scrap it when you, when you said that.
I love that. I see a hashtag already. Wrap it or scrap it.
Scrap it. Make a choice. But yeah, and I know that the finishing something when you finally get to the end, it feels so good to just like, okay, complete, next, but don't just do next, celebrate and then go to the next. Or take some time off and just, be in that energy of completion, which is really delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband's taught me a lot about celebrating. He likes to celebrate everything, even things that I don't think are great. He does business stuff. And so he'll celebrate every no he gets because he's like, that's one step closer to my yes, or that's somebody else I spoke with, right? So it's this celebration. It keeps you in the energy of possibility. It keeps you in the energy of momentum. And so when we are recognizing even the smallest movement, even the smallest progress, the smallest little bit, that will keep you from that place in your head that's saying, I'm not doing it fast enough. I didn't do it right. I didn't do it, blah, 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 blah. Right. So as much as possible, we want to again, turn the volume down on that and turn the volume up on, oh my gosh, I actually sat down at my desk today. That was amazing, right? I could have not done that. So it's like this, even a little bit celebrating.
Yes. It's like the to-do list. Like for me, every time I cross something off a to-do list, I still love paper to-do lists. I can't fit everything on them, but I still have them because there's something about crossing something off the list that feels good. It just feels good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love all of that. And I feel like this would be the perfect space to go into creation mode. And I know you have something planned for us.
Yeah. So I want to share something. So any of our beautiful people listening, you can do this anytime. I use this process all the time. It can take as little as like 1 minute to longer. It's going to be a creative process to help you tune into your intuition, right? To help you get clarity on something or some guidance on something. Think of it as like Oracle, Oracle deck meets creative process that you can do on your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all you need is a piece of paper and a pen. Bonus points if you have crayons or markers.
Colored pencils.
Colored pencils work. Yes, all of that works. So we're just going to open up a page, and I invite you to first, we want to set an intention, right? So just like if you're going to pull an oracle card, maybe your intention is clarity on something. Maybe you'd like guidance on something. Anything, right? So I'll give you an example. So right now, hold on, I've got so many things going on in my life. Let me think of one that would be, okay, so I'm going to use one with our inner circle, right? So I've been in our community, we have our inner circle, and I've been looking at making some adjustments based on what our sisters have been asking for. And so I'd like some clarity on that. Okay, so that's my example. Do you have something, Shayla?
Ooh, yeah, I do. Do you want me to say it out loud?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
So what my point is that you can even just set an intention. Like it can be like, okay, I'd like just more direction for today, right? Or something I need to know to help me tap in. So anything, okay? Ready? So we got that inside our melons, inside our heads. Next thing we're going to do is to, with your pen on the paper or your whatever you got, I'm going to invite you just to do a scribble. Okay. Don't look at it, just scribble. Okay. So this is what mine looks like. If you can see this, and if not, it looks like it looks like a scribble.
Okay. We do that right now.
Yep. Go ahead. Scribble.
Okay.
You got your scribble?
I do.
Okay, perfect. So the next thing that we're going to do,
it's kind of
yes,
or it's kind of, yeah. It's
I can see her. Yes, perfect.
Gig.
Okay, so the next thing we do is, and this is where I invite you to turn the volume down on the side of the brain that is analyzing. And I'm going to invite you to take a look at your scribble and to just start rotating the page. And the first time you see something, you stop. Okay, so. Okay, I found mine. And you just keep going. First thing that pops in your head, don't discount it.
Okay.
And once you have it, then you get to take your pen or your markers, your crayons, and you get to color it in so it actually looks more like what you saw. Okay? So we're just going to take a few minutes here. And you might notice that your scribble drawing actually doesn't look like anything. It just gave you a feeling of something, but you feel like that's where you're supposed to go, then go there. Okay, so I'm going to show you what mine's looking like at the moment. So this is what I've scribbled in. And for me, it's mama, like divine mama holding a baby. Okay. So you can just keep going on whatever is coming up for you. And then once you've colored in a little bit, you can also pick up your pen. And if there's any message that's coming, to go ahead and write. And I like to just imagine putting the pen in the hand of the image and letting the image speak. Okay. So it's not me trying to figure it out. It's like, okay, allowing. So there you go. Pretty simple. So you can give yourself more space and time, and you can really dive in if you want. Sometimes my scribble drawings take me and I'm like an hour later, like, oh my gosh, and then I've gone somewhere. And other times it's just like a minute thing. And I'm like, oh, that's it. It just was a very simple answer. Michelle, would you be willing to share?
I will, yes. And okay, it started out as sort of like the swirl that became sort of an octopus that then started to have a more of a human type of face. So I'm just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And I'm not entirely sure how it relates to my question, but maybe that's okay. It hasn't aligned yet, but it's fun.
Totally. Yeah. So I think with the intention, what we do is like when I'm on my own, I then just allow the space, right? I'm like, okay, so for example, whatever my intention was, I might be like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to Octopus and just like that energy,
Mhm.
and then notice throughout the day, and something will drop in, right? That will click in or clarify that for me. In community, sometimes what we'll do is we'll like hold it up and then we'll ask what others see, or like what others what their vision is, right? If we're unsure, or sometimes like we'll be sure and then we'll ask community, like, what do they see? And they'll say something like, oh my gosh, yes, that's right, I didn't even think about that, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see the power in that. That's really cool. And I like the idea of, inviting the energy of it, because octopus, they're like very intelligent and they're very playful and curious, and they don't have any bones. So just they're such interesting creatures and flowy.
Very flowy, and they're also like they hold on to things, right? They can hold on to things. There was that really great movie on Netflix, My Octopus Teacher. I don't know if you saw that, right? Where he would like the octopus would like take all of the stones and rocks and then cover them up and look like that, just like the surroundings,
Yeah.
right? And then the life cycle, right? That they actually die when they give birth. It's like it's such a beautiful, like spiders too. It's this so many different delicious things that could be dropping in. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. I love that.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So I just invite, this is a practice that you can do every morning, just like if you're pulling a card. And it's a great little way to tap into your creativity. And because because it's a scribble, there's no need to make it look pretty, right? There's no like pressure. It's kind of like, oh, well, it's a scribble anyway. So, so it's really fun to play with that. So I hope that, yeah, I hope that you enjoy it and use it to create and connect spirit in your way.
Yeah, I could see that being a really great way to start a journaling entry as well. Just like, okay, set the intention, make a scribble, and then kind of let it speak to you, and then start writing about it. And you could probably channel your answer through really clearly after doing that. That's fun. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some other fun things for you to share. You are offering a really generous gift, which is called 1212, a creative journey to activate, unleash, and claim all of you, which is valued at $149. And you're just giving that to us for free. So thank you for that. Would you share more about what that is?
Yeah. So what it is it's 3 days of creative energy activation. So think part energy work, part creativity, where you're actually coloring in and aligning with a certain frequency. So we are aligning with the frequency of space, which is part of what I spoke into, like on that first part of the creative cycle, like that you need to have the space to create. If you feel extra full, that's a really good one for you to create space. We also have one on actually just creative flow, how to tap into flow. And I'm pretty sure the third one is on play, because I have to say, sometimes we get a little too serious about things and we need to just loosen up in order for spirit to flow in. So those are, they're processes that are guided, that come with coloring pages and can be done anytime. And so, yeah, enjoy tapping into awakening, activating those creative energies.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I'm excited to check that out. And then you also are giving us, well, it's a special offer. It's called Release, and it's a painting and ritual retreat, a retreat and ritual, values $247, and you're offering that today for just $47. So,
Mhm.
oh, and there's a coupon code, which is Alchemy, that gets you the $200 off, and we'll be sure to include the link. But tell us about this.
Yeah. So I love that we talked about grandma today, because, right after grandma passed, I was in such a place of grief, of immense grief. And I felt called to release, right? That we were just talking about things being taken up and things holding space and energy and thoughts. And so we did a painting ritual together. So no painting experience needed at all. This is energy process, energy work. And we did a release painting and let go of a lot of things. And then I lead through a visioning and activation to be able to tap into what's coming in the medicine that you're called into next. And then you paint that. And that painting ritual is when my light language dropped in, that one right there. So you actually get to see my first light language ever coming in on canvas. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It dropped
Yeah.
in during that. How beautiful.
It did. So it's an experience. So it's a longer experience. You can do a full day. Like if you want to take a day and just dedicate yourself to really do that, you can also break it up and do it into smaller chunks. There's no painting experience needed, and you're guided step by step all the way through. So if you're looking to do some work, I'd have to say that creativity opens up so many doors. And that you have a physical representation of something afterwards that can like hold and anchor in the energy of what you're calling in moving forward.
Beautiful. And I have to say too, for everyone, go check out Amber's website, Woman Unleashed. It's .com.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
.com. Womanunleashed.com. It is so beautiful. I mean, it's like an artistic experience just looking at your website. It's so colorful and energetic, very charged with energy and light and color. And so just go, look at it and you'll get charged up just from doing that.
Come hang out with us. We love to create. We love to hang out with spirit and and have fun. That's also something like we love spirit, and we also are all about the fun over there. So
yeah, well, creativity is so important. And I went to art school. That's my foundation. I've always been artistic, and I used to have a studio before I moved to Texas or to Florida. I'm in Florida now. And I had to let that go, and I miss it so much. So I really appreciate having like these little things. You don't have to have a whole studio. You just have to have a pen and some paper, and you can be creative. And so thank you for reminding us it's not necessary to have all of the things that an artist has to be artistic and creative.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the piece that like creativity, there's no reason that you have to create in order just because it makes you happy. Like you can create just because it makes you feel better. Like there's no product that you have to create from this, right? It's like if you're connecting to spirit more, awesome. If you're happier, awesome. If you feel peace, great. Like those are great reasons to create. So just full permission to create, which is really channeling spirit and have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Wonderful words to end on. This time flew by and it was so much fun. And I love your energy and everything you're creating and sharing in the world. Thank you for your generosity, Amber.
Love you, love you, love you. And we'll forever remember. I want to share this piece from our waterfall hike together where Shayla and I were like, no smallness allowed. Like we are like full beaming blastiness. And so I invite you into our commitment that if you are feeling, just the invitation to go full blast, full bright, full you in whatever way spirit does that with you.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone, let your light shine, your rainbow unicorn flag, whatever it is, be you 100%. We're all so unique and none of us are alone. We're all on this journey together, ascending our frequency and embodying the light as a community of light. So just go knowing that we are all here together, here for you. And thank you for tuning in. And namaste.